You know, a lot of people are starting to have buyer's remorse. Now, what I mean by that is, of course, now that Trump is in for his second term, there's a lot of things happening that have people just raising their eyebrows, right? Well, of course, you guys know that he said that when he got back in office, he was going to do a mass deportation effort along with his border czar, Tom Homan, and that has been going on all over the United States, but specifically in Minnesota. Now, over the last month, two people in Minnesota had their lives taken from them by ICE agents, one being Renee Good and the other one, Alex Preddy. Okay, now I also should reference that of Keith Porter in Los Angeles, California, that had his life taken from him last year on New Year's Eve, to be exact, by an off duty ICE agent who claimed he felt like he was being targeted. So he left his home with his weapon in plain clothes and went to Keith's house and took his life. So he has not been brought to justice. There's no telling when he'll even be charged. Okay, because I always got to include Keith because a lot of people really don't. They just kind of talk about the white folks. Anyway, so back to this buyer's remorse. Here's a video of a white man who basically said that he used to vote Republican, but, well, I'll let him tell you. Here he goes.
You know, I voted Republican for a while. I'm not doing it ever again. After seeing that guy in Minnesota get shot, no. I'm done. I'll vote Democrat now.
So he basically said that he is done. He is no longer voting Republican. He is now going over to the Democrats. And he specifically cited what happened in Minnesota with Alex Preddy. Again, he had his life taken from him. And if you've seen the video, it's pretty graphic and obvious that he was not doing anything to cause his death or anything like that. But my thing is this, sir, you're okay with being a Republican, because that's who he's attributing to, I guess, promoting the violence. I'm not saying that, just kind of what I'm deducting from what he's saying. But you were okay with it when Black folks were being harmed, and we're still being harmed. You just don't hear about it a lot because ICE is going on, per se. But you were okay with it then? Well, or is it just because it's a white man? Because I know, yeah, a lot of people aren't used to seeing white men, ran down, per se, in the middle of the street in broad daylight. Y'all were okay with it under George Floyd. You were a Republican then, I'm quite sure. When you saw Derek Chauvin put a knee to George Floyd's neck, I'm sure you were like, well, what did he do? And a lot of Republicans, right? MAGA and all that, they went along and still going along with the talking points that George Floyd, he was an addict, he was high and he was a criminal. Like that, was why he should have had that happen to him. I'm not saying that, but that was their reasoning. Even to this day, a lot of Republicans, are saying that Derek Chauvin should be released. He's innocent. He didn't do it, right? He didn't do it, meaning that he didn't cause George Floyd to die. Never mind the knee on his neck, right? So again, it's people like him that were okay with it then, but now all of a sudden, yeah, I know it's pretty horrifying to, watch a white man, and some people will say a good white man, right? Now, what I mean by that is, he was a nurse, he was upstanding, he helped veterans and things like that, but to see a good white man get ran down like that in the street, it's very mind-blowing. So my question to him and anybody else like him, so you were okay with being a Republican as long as it was Black folks, but now that it's white people, you want to switch parties? Well, I want to tell you one thing. I'm nonpartisan. I always tell people that. I don't know how much better the Democrats are because, they watch people, especially Black folks, get unalived all the time, when they're in office and things like that, whether it's Barack Obama, George Biden and things like that. And, they didn't see fit to get us a hate crime bill. But I don't know. Maybe you will find comfort over there because you're okay when Republicans, are harming Black folks. So, going over to the Democrats, I guess you see that they're okay with it too because they practice benign neglect of Black folks, especially when it comes to us being harmed, which we are the most harmed here in the United States of America. So, maybe that guy is on to something for himself. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think of that. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra Kaye Show, here on YouTube.